Welcome back to Cannabis in Canada with Jason Wilcox. It is Thursday the 12th, oh my God, of April. So we are closing in on 420, 8 days away, and it is going to be a celebration in Toronto. It's going to be a celebration everywhere, of course. BC will be throwing it down, as always, at Sunset Beach, I believe. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure that's where it is this year, but we're going to be in 420 for the 419 events, as we've been talking about leading up to this. I do have a website up and stuff as well. I've been still trying to find the right, I know this sounds horrible, but I can't seem to find the right link that goes to the one particular promo page that I wanted to find, but oh shit. Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to skip over that part for now. Okay. And hopefully you guys are having a wonderful, Thursday morning. And it's just a morning sesh, just a quick pop in, kind of pop out. Messing around with some new equipment and test firing it before heading into Toronto. So I wanted to make sure that everything's working good. And at the same time, getting ready for what will be quite the experience, learning about, but talking with a new crowd about the wonders of cannabis and cannabinoids, especially with respect to recovering the body after a fight or after a workout. Recovery is recovery. You can really just simply put patient recovery, like you would be recovering from surgery, and put that as recovering from a fight. They're very much the same. If cannabinoids work for recovering from a surgery, then they should work recovering from a fight or a workout. Injury is injury to the body, and repair is repair. Most importantly is a neuroprotectant that they've now discovered cannabis has, which means that these fighters, it applies really to any sport. Anybody that takes a blow to the head, should honestly be taking cannabis, because there is a bit of a neuroprotectant factor there to it. So it is another reason. And then they're actually finding that it can actually push back Alzheimer's. Vicky's talking about it pushing back Alzheimer's or something. So the main thing, if it's a neuroprotectant, one, you would want your fighter to have that. They're going to take shots in the head, then they're going to want to have a neuroprotector. So that's one reason. Then I have to ask myself one simple question, because I love sports. Is it fair in the ring? Does cannabis give you an objective advantage in the ring? And I would say, no, it doesn't. It doesn't give an advantage in the ring. It doesn't make you go super crazy. It doesn't give you Hulk strength. It's not a steroid. So we can't be treating everything the same, If anything, it would probably slow you down a bit and calm you down, and who knows. But then again, the Diaz brothers, one of them, I believe, Nate, fought a lot while he was on cannabis. So, hey, a lot to be said about that, and not take anything from it. But a lot of people don't understand how can a fighter use cannabis? They can't sit there and dab, Jason. That's not cool. No fucking fighter wants to sit there with a dab rig like this with their friends. At least not all of them. There might be a couple out there, but you know what I mean? I get that. When I come down, I'll be coming down with creams and a few different things from a few different cream makers. Most importantly, a couple of high-profile people that are trying to make it in the cream game, really. And there's creams right now, and I know this because my wife sampled them. There are creams available that licensed producers are making, and they're not able to sell them in Canada because they're too potent. They're laced with too much THC, too much CBD, and it's beyond the rates that Canada allows for them to do, but not for us. So there's a lot to be said about that. And shit, what was I just talking about?
The creams that are available.
So yes, no, but the LP creams is specifically the one that my wife tried, because she's the best tester. From being in 2 car accidents, she had blown out her hip. So she's the best person for me when it comes to testing inflammation, because my inflammation is just with my illness and that, but it's a little bit different than having somebody that has a compound injury that's going to inflame and get inflamed all the time. So when she tried that cream, it was really amazing to see how well it worked. And then I had an open cut, sort of like I have on my knuckle right now. When you have an open cut like that, there are certain creams that are made, what was that? Base again, vegetable what?
It was
pure olive oil.
Shea butter, there's olive oil.
Cold pressed olive oil.
Shea butter one is a really good one as well.
Yeah, cold pressed olive oil was the one I was thinking of. So cold pressed olive oil, then you add your CBD isolate or your THC isolate to it, and you allow it to break down. And then of course that would be, and you're getting into the designer part, but based on your weight, based on your muscle mass, based on what you're using it for, you would then be able to designer this little tincture that you would put under your tongue, you know, and Bob's your uncle, really, like you're fixed in that context of being able to fast muscle recovery and fast recovery time. And moreover, after open cut wounds, you can actually spread this stuff on open cut wounds and you're not going to get an infection or anything else, just because it is cold pressed olive oil, which is extremely good for the skin, extremely good for the body, and doesn't have any toxins. So we don't have to worry about toxins or anything else getting in there that are going to damage the damage the outcome of the product. Good morning, Wild Dragon. Now, one person on freaking, maybe I shouldn't have gotten up so early. I couldn't sleep. I had a really bad dream last night.
You know what? Good morning, everybody. Saying May Moon's watching. Hey, May Moon. Tom,
Hey, May. Good morning.
Heather. How's it? Sarah. How's it going? Got a lot of people saying hey on Facebook. Good morning.
I gotta get into.
Maybe I'm in the wrong section altogether.
Maybe I should get into. Where's my phone? Do you have my phone again? What do I do with it this time?
Here.
Thank you. And we also got footage. If May's watching, May, we got some footage from the mom cop. And again, after what just went off in Toronto last night, I really blew up last night on the first half of my show over what happened in Toronto, because we still don't fully know. I don't fully know. I wasn't involved in the actual event. But as a person in the culture and media within the culture, it matters a lot to me that our community events, our cultural events, I don't even want to say community, because now business and culture is getting really fucking convoluted and mixed up. Now there's culture when you're not at work, and then there's business where you sell whatever you sell, whatever you're into. I get that. My concern is whoever this person or people are that did this in Toronto and ripped off a lot of vendors, or however that went down. I'm not sure of all the details. However that went down, we can't allow divisive psychological tactics like that to be used to divide this culture. They have been pulling us apart for the past 5 years as we fought with them through the courts. They've slowly tried to pull us apart, tried to pull the full 20s. Remember Delta 9 did 420 in Winnipeg last year? Only this year there's no permits? It's pretty convenient.
Right.
I mean, come on, guys. Let's just keep it real here. And Delta 9, what are you protesting? The fact that you get to sell weed?
No, they just took it off us.
So I just want to point out to people once and for all, and I'll just reintegrate what I've said on every show. You have a constitutional right to freedom of speech. You have a constitutional right to assemble in a public square and voice your opinion against any federal, provincial, municipal, or otherwise policy that may hurt your fellow human being, or hurt your fellow civilian in your country. In fact, it's your sole obligation, you know, to actually oppose it. Not to stand by and say it's okay. That's like watching an old lady getting beat down by 4 guys and just saying, ah, it's okay, no big deal. Don't call the cops or nothing. Just an old lady getting beat down. It's sort of the same thing, just I'm using really bad analogies maybe. But it's like the government beating down on different situations. It's monopolizing this market. But our culture, I keep saying people power. How do we win in Allard? How do we keep plants in Canada? We won because we collectively came together. We didn't have any of this stuff going on. The culture understood that for those patients that got to grow, they didn't fully understand that if we won in Allard, the whole country would get to grow. I kept saying that, but of course people didn't understand it. They didn't get it. I understand that. Constitutional law is extremely fucking confusing. But I can tell you, once they gave patients the medical right to grow a cannabis plant, and the Supreme Court of Canada said it's safe to use cannabis in all of its forms, it made it very, very hard for Canada to turn around and try and ban growing of any sort for personal use. They have to show harm. Otherwise, it's the medical autonomous use of the body. Please remember that language, medical autonomous use of the body, because that is what protects you. And now taxes. The non-pay, I've seen this come up again. People are wondering what my thoughts are, and my thoughts are pretty clear. I've told you guys, get into the ACMPR, because you don't pay tax on your oxycodone. You don't pay tax on your other stuff. I don't believe, do you, Vic?
Beauty stuff?
Yeah, no, on medical.
No.
No. So if you don't pay tax on any other medicines, why would you pay tax on medical cannabis? This is why the government, and why I have this pet peeve with them, Canada has come out and said there's non-medical users. And I ask you guys again, are you a non-medical user? And do you know a single non-medical cannabis user? And if so, I'd love to have you on my show to explain to me how they're a non-medical user. And the reason I say this is because of how the body, now I know some people, I haven't been able to really get this across clearly because it's been confusing for some people, and I understand it, it's a confusing topic. Yeah. Oh, what was I just covering again there, Vic? I'm bringing scatterbrain this morning.
Oh, I'm a little lost. I'm sorry. You're talking about the cup.
The what?
The cup is a little scattered, sorry.
Ah, shit.
And culture and...
Hey, hello from Quebec. Hello from Oshawa. I'm coming home to Oshawa, Joe. That's my hometown. I'm a Oshawa boy, South Oshawa raised, and fucking, I've been to the Durham station, I've been to 311 Jarvis, I've been to Brookside, been around the block for my young offender stuff. You can actually see the crystals in the bottom of our bong. That's fucked up from the terp sauce. The shitty little bong. Look, you can see the little crystals all down the bottom here. Vic?
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
That shit's trippy. They recollect down there. I wonder how that happened. They must get sucked right through. All right, distractions. What can I say? And good morning, Ontario. We'll be to Ontario this time tomorrow. No, not this time. This time Saturday we'll be in Ontario anyway, and moving forward from there. So let me get back into Facebook here. Now again, back to what was going on in Toronto. The reason I was talking a lot about this cultural thing, the first time ever, everybody came together for this Canna Cup. I don't know who facilitated, I don't know who runs it, but a lot of our vendors came together for that. And when they did, they gave up a lot of stuff. It only takes one really bad cup to almost crush future events. Now I want you guys to listen to what I'm saying, please, about military tactics, because they work on civilians as well. It's psychological tactics, divisive tactics. Because if you get ripped off once, and a lot of you did, whoever this person is smart, but they ripped off a lot of you, my bigger question is who put them up to it? They must have already had a plan to live in another country or something, but who would put them up to it? And what better way to blow up a culture than to make us all turn on each other? To make us all go back to our respective corners and go into self-preservation mode again. If we go into self-preservation mode, they will turn the market the way they want it. The corporations, not the culture. So there is a cultural aspect to this that we need to hang on to, and we can't allow them to just say, oh, well, your culture is going to be this because we legalize. Well, no, the culture is what it's evolved to be under one, reefer madness, and two, whatever legalization looks like. That's what the culture is. That's we the people. And we the people hold the power as long as we stay united. And I know that they've tried everything they can to divide us. They did everything they could to divide the coalition. And they did a successful job, actually, at dividing the coalition. Did a successful job at helping to crush us. And there's a lot of fake and phonies out there that don't care about anything more than filling their back pocket and moving forward. Other ones are weekend warriors that work all day, work all week. They have a wife and kids, and they're just weekend warriors that want to smoke a little weed. So they're going to go to the LP dispensary. I'm talking about the cannabis culture, us. The cannabis culture. The people that live and breathe cannabis, that love cannabis, and have fought and died for, not fought and died for, but fought and went to jail for cannabis. In some cases, medical patients have died fighting for this plant. That's a lot. And compassion, where do we draw the line on compassion? So we got Canada with 88 corporations. We're serving 6 other countries, and people are wondering. Hey, people are, when I say we're serving 6 other countries, people are like, we don't have 6 other countries legalized. And they don't realize that these corporations, just like how they were setting up here 5 years ago, and I told you guys, they're simply hijacking and cornering the market. They're surrounding us. Look around, guys. What have they done? There's 88 corporations. Now they got microbreweries and they get dispensaries. So it's called checkmate. The only thing we got left is our culture. To say, you know what, we don't want this and we're going to oppose this. That leads me into 420 and why we're going to Toronto. Toronto's been bombarded with a bunch of policies and bad policies suited for profit-driven policy, I would note. It's suited to serve the agenda of the corporations. I'm not here to serve the agenda of the corporations. I'm here to serve the agenda of the people, of the culture, of the plant. The plant's agenda has only been to heal people. Why people need to make so much, I don't know. I don't understand it. The laws, Bill C-45 is bad. These driving tests are bad. Thank God we know lawyers. And you know, I'm sitting in a comfortable position only in that I know a few lawyers and that I've worked with them. That's the only thing that I feel comfortable in. But for you guys, my God, the thought of the car, even me, I get pulled over. I don't want to be the test case. Who the fuck wants to be the test case? Go without driving for 5 years just so you can sue the government and wait another 5 years to get paid for the 5 years they fucked you on? That's 10 years of your life. Just to change the law for millions of Canadians. I know I did it in Allard. I spent 5 years of my life fighting so you guys can grow plants. That's unconditional conviction. And if you have that, you got a centered moral compass and you'll be able to take on the government. But other than that, we need people power. And even myself, there was no Jason, there was a coalition. I keep talking about this because, my God, if we do not pull together at 420, not just to celebrate that the LPs get to sell us weed, that's not what I'm there to celebrate. This isn't a celebration of legalization. There are still laws to protest. There's more jail time being served now than there was before. And once this bill passes, that's it. We're going to be looking at 2 years less a day. For those of you that don't know jail, that means you're 1 day away from a penitentiary charge or going to the penitentiary if the judge wants to throw the book at you. So if you got a bunch of priors, and then even worse, let's just say, like always, you have a secondary charge. So you get charged with possession, then you get charged with possession with the intent to traffic because you had 3 or 4 different packages with you. So you were the trafficker. So there's your second charge. And then maybe you have a buck knife in your back seat for whatever reason because you were hunting. Now you got a weapon in your car. Now you're going to the penitentiary. 2 years plus a day. Just looking at the variables, because those of us that have been out there and in the shit, some of us, I mean, this is what bothers me. Some of my brothers and sisters, I've been one of the luckier ones, but some of my brothers and sisters, they've done some serious time for cannabis and for just growing it. And not even selling it, I mean just growing it, just getting caught, growing the plant. They're doing serious time. And they can't be part of this ongoing business. They can't be part of this ongoing culture. And to me, that's really sad, not only for the cannabis culture, but for the thousands of people that have fought for years to try and legalize this plant and free it for the people. We didn't fight to free it to the corporations. We didn't fight to free it for the tax man. We fought to free it for the people. I don't know. It's just me overviewing this, overlooking at this. I should be looking at the chat. Is there anything in the chat there? I'm not quite in the Facebook chat. Oh, I'm gonna put on some footage here from the. I'm still waking up, so bear with me here, guys. It is fucking bullshit, big time. Peter, I see what you're saying. Now I'm in this chat, and I will be in the YouTube chat. Let's play a couple little footages here. Jesus, I sound funny. All right, speaking of 420, here's where the coalition, myself and our crew flew up a drone over top of 420. We've been doing this shit for years. This was 2014, some 4 years ago. And here's the crowd at 420 before we had to move it to the beach. And you can see why we had to move it to the beach. Y'all get in the mood for 420. Shout out to Young Nolo. Thanks for letting us use the music. And I love y'all, man. Get ready for Toronto because it's going to be a badass party. And if you haven't got tickets yet, get in touch with Cannabis in Canada, Beard Brothers, or any of the other collective. Just Compassion is down there. And we're also going to have the Extract Express out. So I got some footage here of the Extract Express that we're going to play after. So, and there's one here of Brad doing a big dab, his first really big dab, and it's kind of fucking funny. Some shit I played last night, but I'm just gonna play this while you guys have a chance to help me. Well, please help me, because I'm not gonna go forever this morning, but help me this morning talk about Toronto, and let's look at what's going on, because I'm gonna also look at the news feed, but let's look at what's going on and what just happened in Toronto, and maybe someone can help me with the, maybe somebody can help me with what happened in Toronto. Because I've got details only from the vendors, but I don't got details from people that actually attended the event.
People that attended, all I can see is they're having the same questions. Where the heck is this guy?
Right.
Everybody's saying the same thing, because I just checked on Instagram, it's the same thing. That guy's gone.
Okay, so we'll talk more about that when I get back, but feel free to weigh in if you're from Ontario, and if you're interested in getting together with us in Ontario, yeah, PM us, get a hold of us in advance. And go from there. Peter, what Jerry's going through, well, Jerry Martin's going through a lot, but Jerry Martin goes through what Jerry Martin goes through. You know, it's I would say look at what every Compassion Club owner is going through across this great nation. Every dispensary owner. Because not one is more compassionate than the other. Because they all make money. See, true compassion is never showing it. True compassion is never taking pictures of yourself being compassionate. It's being unconditional and humble in nature. And having a centered moral compass would never lend you to take a picture of yourself and put it on the internet to show how compassionate you are. But to each their own. I'm just a man that calls a spade, and I don't like being lied to. So if somebody lies to me, I've been holding back and just keeping my mouth shut, but you lie to me, that's different. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. But yeah, I can only say that I wish Mr. Martin well, and I hope that he gets himself the right counsel that he needs to launch a constitutional challenge that could change things. You know, it's sad for Jerry only in the context that all of us, our brothers and sisters, I like Jerry in the context that I met him. He's not a personal friend, but I've met Jerry a few times. I met him when he donated to the coalition. I seen him when he was sitting up on his roof there and wanted to cut his wrists. We were having a hard time. Fuck, my wife and I, we were the ones that said, holy fuck, man, this guy's like really having a hard time. This isn't right. Nobody, and that's when I said, no free man should be told you can't fight. No free man should be told you can't fight back. So my wife and I donated $200 to a GoFundMe account. Simple. Let's donate some money. But then you start to follow money and you start to look around and things become more clear. And it's as simple as that. And when things get fucked up, they get fucked up. And believe me, when someone like myself gets accused, hey motherfucker, you stole this, you stole that, blah, 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 blah. Remember all that shit? Yeah, motherfuckers, I'm still here. I'm still fucking flying around. What, am I just shitting out that money now? That's the shit that bothers me. When false flags get raised against other activists, it seems okay. Then we want to start looking at other flags. People start doing these fucking fundraisers, no oversight. See, people don't know this, but you're going to learn this in the Coalition documentary when it comes out here. We do have a teaser coming out, I believe, at the fights for 420. But to have an understanding of exactly how that worked, it took 3 checks or 3 signatures for any check. It took 3 signatures. It took Mr. Paul Hunt. It took Ramo's wife, which is Sandra Colasanti, and myself. It took 3 of us to sign those big checks over to the lawyer. There was no one person. There was no one fund, and there was no Jason Wilcox fucking fund. There was a John Conroy Coalition fund. Then there was the Coalition account. But there was no Go Fund Jason account. So let's just keep it real. And to all you fucking motherfucking fakers and perpetrators out there that keep saying, oh, there's this, there's that, you know, you should start looking around at what the real scammers are doing, like what just happened in Toronto. Look at who's been on the scene for 2 minutes versus the people who've been on the scene for 20 motherfucking years fighting for your rights. So you wonder why it eats at me? This is why it eats at me. Motherfuckers want to accuse shit, talk shit. Now, motherfuckers, I ain't before the courts as an expert witness. Now I'm here to fucking defend my own character, my own honor, my own integrity. Now come tell me I'm a motherfucking thief. Now dispute what's in fucking film with the lawyers. And then motherfuckers are straight up, they're out there doing it. Asking me if I understand. Oh, you understand, don't you, Jason? No, I don't understand, motherfucker. You're paying your rent, you're paying your fucking uncles, you're paying everybody out of some fucking GoFundMe account, and I'm fucking supposed to understand that? No, fuck you. I don't understand that shit. Who the fuck understands raising money and then fucking using it for personal gain? I understand it only from being accused of it. And that really fucking sucks. Dano! See you tomorrow, Dano. Once I rent the car, we'll stop at your place first, and as always, boom, dab away. Dano's dabbing house. I'm just ranting and raving a little bit as usual, Dano. It's not easy. As you know, we went through a lot with the coalition, and Dano, being one of the board members who's in the chat, is also somebody that can speak to just how hard it was at that time to keep our mouths shut. All of us were under non-disclosure agreements, so we couldn't really talk about how things were run. It would have been a lot easier for me to just to go on the internet and say, no, look, it takes this, this, and this. But did we really need to explain ourselves? Or should we have followed our non-disclosure agreements and stayed quiet? So we did exactly what we should have done. Stayed quiet, followed our non-disclosure agreements. You know what that's called in the street? Keeping your motherfucking word. That's all that's called. And my hashtag, time tells all truths. When this documentary comes out, it tells all truths. Mr. Conroy tells it. Mr. Tusaw tells it. I'm hoping to get Mr. Allard on there so he can get in there and tell his side as a plaintiff. See, Mr. Allard didn't work on the fundraising. Mr. Allard was one of the 3,000 that was picked. We took in 3,000 victim impact statements to pick our 4 best plaintiffs. That's how Mr. Allard came into the picture. I can't wait for this documentary to come out. Because then, the real frauds and phonies, you guys are going to get fucking made out for who you are and called out. And for the fucking bitches that were trying to call me out, be prepared for a fucking boomerang effect, motherfuckers. Promise you that. On a positive note, here's some drone footage, 4/20/2013. See you guys in about 5 minutes. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday morning. And yeah, it's one of those days. Love y'all. See you soon.
We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. Smoke, smoke, smoke. Smoke weed like Bob Marley. Getting high and I like to party. Mary Jane stimulates the brain. She blow the smoke, take away the pain. My dream house in my greenhouse with a flat screen and a big couch. Half baked with a big bomb. Smoke it all till the weed's gone. Smell good, my weed strong. My money stack and my weed's long. Smoking Keisha, Wiz Khalifa, Snoop Dogg. When I'm around the reef, it's beautiful when I roll up. It's like fine art when I burn it up. Smoking loud, we gon' turn it up. Smoking loud, we gon' turn it up. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. Put your lighters up, let's spark one. Get high, let's blaze up. It was a long day, we lighting weed, we smoking, we don't give a fuck. Roll up, no stress, smoke weed, no protest. sweet, we gon' have to break this up. Mary Jane's my main bitch, won't you come get fucked up? Oh, you don't smoke no weed, well I can't say what's up. In memory, your whack ass, when I light this up. Rolling it up when I'm blowing the weed, smelling the smoke and you know that it's me. Puffing on good and you know who it be. Smoke like a hippie, come fuck with a G. Light it up when I blaze one, light it up when I blaze one. We gon' smoke piff when that haze come. Smoke piff when that haze come. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke it, I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke it, I'll be lighting up that weed. Put your lighters up, let's spark one. Getting high, let's blaze up. It was a long day, we lighting weed, we smoking, we don't give a fuck. Roll up, no stress, smoke weed, no protest. 420, we live, I roll it up in my weed ride. Put your lighters up, let's spark one. Getting high, let's blaze up. It was a long day, we lighting weed, we smoking, we don't give a fuck. Roll up, no stress, smoke weed, no protest. 420, we live, I roll it up in my weed ride. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke it, I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke it, I'll be lighting up that weed.
All right, welcome back. Sorry, I was trying to transfer that again. I get butter all over my shit. Sci-Fi's crumbles, friggin' knocking me out again, first thing in the morning. And welcome back, guys. There's some footage from 2013, or 2014. 420 Art Gallery. This was just before we ended up moving it down to Sunset Beach because it was simply getting too big. And as you can see there, that was the money shot. Every year people were renting hotel rooms and trying to get who could get the best shot on the crowd. And it was a wicked crowd, as you can see. But to get that panoramic 360, hats off to our crew and to Cannabis Canada for being able to once again get that panoramic shot that nobody's been able to do. And I don't, unless somebody's willing to fly their drone up over 420 again today or this year, then I don't know how many more. I guess here people can fly them out over the ocean and take shots in from the ocean. But I mean, flying it directly up over the crowd, you're not going to see a lot of people doing that with their drones anymore. But it is what it is. We had a lot of fun doing that, and it was a lot of fun landing. We had to actually, like, literally push the crowd back. You can see a big circle of us had to push the crowd back and force open a hole so we could actually land the drone inside the middle of the crowd, so the police couldn't come running in. We weren't sure how they were going to react to a drone flying up over, 10,000 people. It's not necessarily we weren't sure what was going to happen. Let's just leave it at that. But hopefully you guys are having a great morning. And yeah, I do talk about this now only because when the book comes out, not the book, but it's more of a manual of just how the coalition was done, the background stuff, the stuff you guys may not have heard about. Some people, it's really not a big deal, and it's not a thing. But some people don't know. And for me, the only thing I care about is my own fucking legacy. If I have a legacy of my own name that I've worked really hard on, and I know it's not tainted, then I'm not going to let it get tainted. Certainly not by people that are fucking out there actually doing this shit. I mean, it's really, really unfortunate for Canada. And I think it's unfortunate. I mean, let's just be honest. We're not new to scams. We're not new to people shortcutting each other in that. But to rip off an entire culture, I don't even know how you build that. Whoever this person is, they're obviously clever enough to be able to network all of Canada, pull them all together, convince them to all give $10,000 each or more, just so they can expate out of the country And none of us even know who the guy is. A 20-year standing activist right here doesn't know who the fucking guy is that just ripped y'all off. But I'm still here. It's really fucking sad. But back to the educational side, let's look at the educational side on cannabis right now is going to stay with the, honestly, with the policy making that we got going on. Charles Square Park downtown in Windsor, Ontario. Nice, good job, Peter. Windsor's, I believe, is it Windsor that got the license? Somebody out there got a license. One of the small towns in Ontario. But you know me, I'm not one to go to a small town. I mean, I went to Peterborough for Cannabis Day a couple times for the past couple of years. But I will not, on a day like this where Toronto, Mr. Metro, who I've been dealing with since I was a kid, wants to say there ain't going to be a protest, I'm here to say there's going to be a protest, or else I'll be eating a rubber sandwich in their cells. One or the other. But we'll see. They'll choose to arrest people for exercising their constitutional right, and then they'll face lawsuits for doing so. Now, for vendors, you guys are operating at your own risk, you know, when it comes to police. It always has been that way. And I would remind everybody, and this is very fucking important, please remember, we started 420 as a protest. We didn't ask the city, can we please protest the laws at the art gallery? Can you give us a slip that says it's okay? Did we actually ask permission? Fuck no. We burned our fucking joints and we fucking rallied and we fucking rallied. We fucking charged and we rallied and we got bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger until eventually they couldn't stop us. And now, what do I hear this year? Oh no, we don't got a permit. So? We don't got a permit. Tell me, are you still going to show up? Thumbs up, guys, hearts if you're going to show up for your 420s. Like, come on. I mean, this should be a summer of legalization. Yeah, Windsor may have got a permit. That's probably because if you guys think about what I was just talking about, military tactics, if I was working for the other side, I'd be trying to drive you guys all to a small town as well so we could break down the inner city structure, the inner city strength, the inner city voice. The 10,000 people that show up at the square. Yeah, those people. They want to separate that voice. Call me crazy. Call me as crazy as you want. And Windsor should give a permit. In fact, every city should give a permit because you know what? It comes down to public safety. I can assure you that should anybody get hurt at downtown 420 in Toronto because of the city didn't want to work with the planners. I don't know. I'm hoping that the city at least, barring a permit, they at least worked with the planners. Even here, you guys may not know this, but even here with no permit, the city still meets with us, the park still meets with us, the fire department, the police, everybody sits down and they plan out how to best go about this event so nobody gets hurt. So it's my hope, and I'm sure the Mr. Metro, the policymakers that be in Toronto, they're not going to want this to happen in their square. 10,000 people are still coming to the same place. The only thing the permits did, they allowed us to, well, they allowed certain people to charge money, make profit off a protest, which they shouldn't be doing, in my own opinion. It's a protest. But the permit gave us crowd control. It gave us lanes. It gave us police that were able to actually control the crowd so that nobody got hurt. And if somebody needed to get to an ambulance, we could get them to an ambulance fast. That's what a permit was about. Organization, structure, and control of 10,000 people. Now you want a 10,000 person mob in downtown Vancouver? There ain't enough police in Toronto to fucking stop that. They tried to stop Cannabis Day here in Vancouver. It went as far as macing a couple people. A couple of us tasted some mace. That's as most we got. So for those of you out there worrying about do you need a permit to have a protest, I would ask you, when did you ever need a permit to exercise your constitutional right to assemble and free speech? Anybody want to come on the show and debate me on it, I'm in. Other than that, 2 middle fingers up to all the no permits and fucking show the fuck up. Suit up, show up, have a good time, and celebrate your summer of legalization, because it's not the corporation's summer of legalization. Though they're making all the money, millions. They're serving 6 other countries. Keep talking about this. It is what it is. I really hope that Canada will catch on to this soon, but I can tell you now, I have 99.9% confidence that Toronto 420 will have at least 10,000 or more people show up, and this event will go off as it always does, with or without past protests or past organizers or not. People forget, like here I know from doing BC, 20 years of this, you learn a lot. I can tell you now, the one thing people do is they fucking show up. Because they're weekend warriors. The only day of the year they even let anybody know they fucking smoke the good stuff. The only day. 420. So you think they're going to stop? They're only one day they get to go out and fucking celebrate with the rest of us and enjoy our culture, enjoy our community? You think they're going to stop because of a fucking permit? Man, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. For real. Don't believe that shit. Show up, suit up. The activists will be there, I can assure you of that, and they're the ones that usually keep the fort held down, if you have it, pending our people converging on the square. And you know, Mother Nature pending. You know, hopefully Mother Nature is nice to us, gives us a nice sunny day, and this thing's gonna go off like it's gonna be popping. And the 419 party the night before is gonna be popping. We got the fights that are gonna be right after 420 at Dundas Music Hall, I believe it is. I'm going off the top of my head, or Danforth Music Hall, sorry. It's already a sold out show. There's no more tickets on Ticketmaster. If you are interested, if you are associated to myself or my crew, if you're associated to the Beard Brothers Collective, if you're associated, there's a few different people, Just Compassion, there's a few different people you can talk to still, because we still have a few VIP ringside tickets and tickets that we can have for people to roll with us and with our crews as we go around to these different events. So that's important. Hoo-wah! Hoo-wah! Hey Craig, Dabcore will be in Windsor. There you go, Dabcore will be in Windsor. What I find funny is everybody's converging on Windsor, but you got to ask yourself why. Why is everybody running out of downtown Toronto? I mean, Windsor is an awesome hockey town. I played there a lot. I was born in Oshawa. So Ontario, believe me, I know Ontario very, very well. You know, Windsor is a small little town, and it's great that those that want to drive 2 hours to protest, go ahead. But why would you drive out of metropolitan city and give up a 420 for protest in downtown Toronto? That would be my bigger question. It's like me, why would I go to Peterborough? Well, it was because I'd never been to a Peterborough Cannabis Day. I thought it'd be cool to see it in a small town in Ontario. I thought that was progress. And Windsor, it's progress to see that you're doing this. My bigger question is to Torontorians. Everybody in the metropolitan area that normally attends 420, I know most of you are still going to attend it, but my friends, please, let's not allow this hype. When you guys see this hype come up, oh, there's no permit, we don't know if there's going to be organizers. That's divisive tactics, psychological tactics. That way, if people do show up, they're going to see a bunch of police and only a couple of people, and then they're going to turn around and go away. I've seen this happen with a few of the so-called protests at City Hall, put together by, I'm not going to say which activists put them together, but when you put together a protest, you don't go and move across the street when they tell you to. You sit down, you lock arms, and you go to jail. That's what you do, because it's your right to protest in the public square. And if you don't understand that, don't call yourself an activist and don't show up. And if you do understand it, show up and be prepared. Police want to move in and try and arrest people. Everybody lock arm, they have to arrest 15, 20 of us. And it makes awful good footage for the news. And then on top of that, there's always lawsuits and everything else for infringing on someone's constitutional right to assemble. Now, I'm not saying to spit at the officers, be rude to the officers. Don't do anything to the officers. Just say, I'm exercising my constitutional right to free speech and to assemble. And if they wish to arrest you, my friends, lock arms. Whether there's 2 of you, 4 of you, 5 of you, or 20 of you. We've done this in British Columbia for 20 years. That's how we got to where we are. We didn't get here by being fucking nice and saying, please let us have a protest. Please. Oh, we'll just cross the street because you told us to, Mr. Officer. No, fuck that. It's a protest. What part does protest does people not get? This is what got me into activism. This one part that I loved is that we could actually stand up against the law to try and change the law. Then I learned about how constitutional challenges work, and that's how you actually change the law. You take them, you put them on trial, or you get charged and you challenge the law You overturn the law and you force them to change the motherfucking law. That's what you do. Man, am I on fire this morning. Let me see if I can get this video working. If this one works, I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Ah, fuck it. I'm back. Fuck that. That's too long to keep you guys hanging on to that shit. I ain't gonna do that to you. I'll make sure this is killed on the 1 hour mark. So those that tuned out, I don't blame you. I'm gonna go check on YouTube here and see what the fuck is up. You guys wonder why I'm swearing a lot more? It's simply because of the mode that I am getting into as we head into Toronto. We gotta keep this shit real. We got to keep it going. I've been doing this shit 10 years on the internet. We have been fighting laws. Look up Google Jason Wilcox versus the police, and you will see I've been fighting the police long before I ever restrained the federal government, long before I ever put them on trial, and long before we ever kicked their fucking ass and made history. The documentary will explain all this. But I don't want to live in the past. I want to look about the future. See, the past is the past. We kicked their ass, we beat them, blah, 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 blah. Will it ever happen again in my lifetime? Probably not. It's pretty fucking historic. But how do we move forward? They still got legal rights over supply and distribution domestically and internationally. So do we just take that up the ass? Or do we fight back? A lot of people just do not stop to ask themselves what legalization is going to look like for them. And if you're okay with paying $14 a gram or $12 a gram for cannabis, that's your choice. And if you don't know a grower in your neighborhood that knows how to grow good weed, well then that's unfortunate. But barring that, every person in Canada, at least in BC here, is going to be able to grow 4 plants. Now each plant can yield between 1 and 4 pounds. Depending on the grower and depending on the way that it's being grown. So if you can get, say, even 2 pounds per plant, that's 8 pounds every couple of months. You get your shit done right, dial it all in, that ain't so fucking bad. For those of you that don't want to be medical, I know this sounds funny when I say don't want to be medical because the government done this intentionally. They're trying to tell you that you're a non-medical user. Now, if you're a non-medical user, I guess by your own admission, you can say I'm a non-medical user. But that would be from lack of knowledge, lack of biology, lack of science, lack of what we already understand about the endocannabinoid system, lack of the fact that you have CB1 and CB2 receptor cells in your brain, or that or else you're from another fucking planet. So this doesn't change. So like taking a multivitamin, you can say, it's not medical. Yes, it is. It's a fucking multivitamin. It's medical. Cannabis and cannabinoids are like a multivitamin. And it's medical. So the government's positioning on non-medical users is profit-based. It's profit-based policy and language sought so they can tax the fuck out of you. Tax, tax, tax. That's all they want, the money. You can't see it, you will. When I'm not paying tax and you are, you will. You'll understand. Medical patients do not pay tax. Well, you see, that's just it. City would have been smart to go with rec. I've talked about this, okay? You can't fight language. Lawyers taught me this. You see, I've worked with a lot of lawyers over the years. You can't fight language. You fuck up when you fuck up with language. Recreational can be termed because you know what? Doctors give you pills so that you recreationally will feel better. You'll have a better day. It's called quality of life. It's still medical though. But when you say there's non-medical users, it's highly inferring and suggestive that biology doesn't exist, the science that we know doesn't exist, and that every fucking doctor, including Dr. Sanjay Gupta on CNN, are all fucking crazy. Now, if you're prepared to do that, come on to my show. I'd love to embarrass you. Come on. If not, let's get to the talking table and start educating people about the endocannabinoid system, about cannabinoids, and about the fact there's no such thing as a medical user. Nobody should be taxed for this plant. This plant should be in herbology. If you want to tax somebody, tax them under herbs. If you're going to call it medical, well, you don't pay tax on medical. Oh, fuck. Oh, that's all this is about the taxes. That's why I'm kind of laughing to myself here. It is about the taxes. It's what it's always been about with these guys, is how to get more money, more money, more money. Give me the money. And for us, it's been about how do we protect this. Now, the only good thing is, and barring all my ranting and raving about what's cultural, again, guys, you have to understand, Cannabis in Canada, we cover holistically this country as best we can. And I'm not topic driven right now. I'm just open freestyling my show, talking about what's going on here right now. And the cultural side of it is where I see, if they break us down, each province, each city, Windsor, all of our brothers and sisters in Windsor, all of our brothers and sisters down in Peterborough, all the ones out here in Victoria, out here, it doesn't matter where in Canada. We have our little pockets, but we're all being impacted the same way by the same federal policies and the same federal initiatives to take over and monopolize this country. There's nobody they're looking out for except their own. If you're working for an LP and you want job security, well then yeah, you're going to be all okay with this policy. If you're a free man and you don't believe that you should be monopolized by a fucking government, well then you should be with me in fucking fighting this policy and saying no, that this is not right. People should have a freedom of choice. That we are free and democratic peoples in society. Big Brother may not like this, licensed producers may not like this, tough shit. People are going to be growing, and I know here in BC, people are going to be accessing their neighborhood grower long before they call up an LP. I just know this, until they get provincial coverage. Now, some people have asked me why I haven't, sorry, some people have asked me fucking, why I haven't went after fucking, shit! I lost my train of thought there. Sorry, my phone just went right off, just rung my bell there. Normally I have that muted. Man, yeah, you know what's fucking weird too is that I couldn't pull in my one fucking video I wanted to pull in here while I try and recapture my thoughts. But back to the cultural thing. Now, the United States, my friends in America, especially California, my brothers and sisters, you know who you are. You know, John, I love you, brother, and many others out there that are going through this exact transition. They're seeing it. They're seeing the same thing, and it's in America. It's in California. The only difference is everybody's going to say, yeah, they're at the state level, Jason. No big deal. They're just at the state level. I would remind you, there's an international cartel of corporations going around the world and setting up in a whole bunch of different countries to sell cannabis, and we're exporting to them right now. California has a huge, huge lock on a lot of this play that's going on. Oh, and I said I was going to talk about the Extract Express, so I had to do a dab, guys. Normally I wait for a commercial break for that, and I was trying to pull up the video as well here. Now, we talked about the Extract Express that will be outside. I don't know if that's going to play or not. I'm hoping it, yeah, it will. Okay, the Extract Express will be outside 419. So we'll be taking the Extract Express as a bus, basically, in Ontario. So the coalition, when we were fundraising, Justin Loizos came up with an idea to rent a bus and take a bunch of patients out and go around dabbing and putting all of our decos down the side of the bus and sponsors and doing that as something new. I know it sounds a little crazy. It was crazy here in Canada back then because we weren't allowed to dab yet. But you know where we went was to the capital of Canada. We went to the Supreme Court of Canada with that bus full of patients and dabs and dab rigs. and we dabbed the fuck out of the front of the courthouse. Then we went inside in chambers and we watched the Supreme Court of Canada kick the Crown's ass and say, don't ever bring a fucking case in here again unless it has substance. And went on to say that cannabis can be used in all of its forms, period. That could be argued from root to fruit. You hear me? From root to fruit. That means growing. So that Supreme Court decision quashed the federal government's attempt to ban home growing in this country ever again. So did Allard. So I say to you, big brother, this non-medical is going to come back to bite you in the ass. Because once it gets proven that cannabis and cannabinoids are medical, are at the very least medicinal in use, like a multivitamin for everybody, once that comes out, there's going to be a lot to pay. Just like when you go and you arrest somebody, some officer's going to make this mistake, and they're going to arrest somebody based on this swab test. This swab test is going to end up before the courts, and I'm going to predict it here on my show now, and when it happens, we'll play it, that they're going to turn around and they're going to overturn this law. Just like they did in Arizona. It's the exact same swab test. That's what's funny. The same fucking swab test has already been ruled unconstitutional in America by an American court, but they bring it to Canada and they're going to use it on us nationally, starting in Ontario, but they're going to use it against us, pseudoscience, until we challenge it in the court. And like I said, someone takes 5 years of their life probably just to get the constitutional challenge done, overturn the law. Then, once you overturn the law, then you can sue them. You can sue them for damages. That could take another 5 years. So a decade of your life, a decade of service, and you might just overturn that driving law. But there are lawyers willing to do it, and my God, if you do get charged, let us know so we can get on top of it and we can keep it going. That's a very important part. So I was trying to keep up on the comments here. What are you smoking on, Vic?
On stuffy. On stuffy, actually.
I'm trying to monitor here on YouTube as well, guys. Any other comments? Oh, synthetic cannabis. No, synthetic cannabis. Mirinol, sesame. Trust me, back in the day, I fought this issue of Mirinol, sesame. And then what do they do? I want you guys to think, hold on, let's just take this back a step. Think about this. They had first said, cannabis is bad for you. It can kill you. It's going to kill your brain cells. It's going to do everything else. But we're going to make a synthetic version and we're going to give that to you for a said price because we're big pharma. And that's exactly what they did with Sativex for years. Sorry, not Sativex. They did it with Mirinol for years and Sesame for those that couldn't afford Mirinol. That's what they did. And then fucking garbage. Didn't work. Caused more problems than it helped. But if it really did kill brain cells and really did harm you, why did they make a synthetic version and turn around and give it back to you for a higher price? Then, to add insult to injury, they come out with Sativex, a true cannabis derivative, a true spray under your tongue tincture, derived from cannabis. Well, how come they didn't put how come they didn't put THC and CBD back into pharmacopoeia then, or into pharmacopoeia? What was the reasoning then? See, we got to ask ourselves a lot of questions around cannabis and cannabinoids. I'm fucking jumping all over the place because of this sci-fi fucking crumble. He's got a few. I got a few different types of crumble here, but they're just extremely strong. That's it. The fake part of it is right. But again, I know my shit. I back my shit up with my YouTube channel. There's 5 million views there. They're all legitimate. There's 22,000 subscribers. And I've been there for 10 fucking years. Talking the same shit, only I used to teach you guys how to grow. I used to have fun doing my grow show. Then it became, we're going to legalize. And this whole war started over supply, distribution, and who gets to grow the cannabis plant. And I had to become grower/activist. I'd like to get back to just growing, to be honest. This activist part of it isn't necessarily the funnest part. But Sativex, Mirinol, remember, Sativex, a true derivative. All of us need to ask ourselves why at that point did they not put cannabis back into pharmacopoeia? So doctors can actually prescribe that which they say is medical. If Health Canada is going to say this is the, what is it, the ACMPR, the access to cannabis for medical purposes? Well, if it's for medical purposes, then it must be medical. But if you go to Health Canada's website, it says there's no medical value to cannabis. It has to be further explored. Dun, 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 dun. Are we all retard sheeple? Are we all retard sheeple? That's how I fucking feel. Seriously, are we all retarded sheeple? Just stop and ask yourself these questions, because this is what's happening around the world. When I went to Australia last year, I seen it. I see it fucking here. It's fucking wrong. I don't care if fuck. I don't know who can fucking try to justify any of this shit. You can't justify this. Only money, greed, and power justifies what's going on in Canada. 88 corporations set up serving 6 other countries, while a global monopoly is setting up all around the world to serve all of y'all. And everybody says, well, maybe we won't legalize. I still don't think we're going to legalize. Motherfuckers, they don't set up $80, $20 million companies if they're not going to legalize. The whole purpose is setting them up under the guise of medical. Like, remember what I just said. There's no medical value to cannabis in this motherfucking country. But we've had a medical marijuana program, remember, medical marijuana, for 14 years. Then they changed it to its proper botanical name, cannabis sativa. So they changed it to cannabis because it has to go back into pharmacopoeia in order for provincial formularies to cover it. If you look at the whole scam, look at the whole monopoly, the whole way they got it set up, they're going to win in the end. Because they're going to get provincial coverage. The only thing that they never got was the banning of the plants. If they had have got control of all the genetics, Monsanto wasn't far off of getting control of our genetics. To me, it was always about the plant. If you keep the plant with the people, you keep the genetics with the people, they can do all the genetic markers they want. They can fucking go ahead and fuck around with their shit all they want. But they still can't patent that. They still can't prove it. All they can do is lock a bunch of us poor people up with these stupid contracts and take us to court over what they feel is their intellectual property. And I would argue that nobody owns Mother Nature. Nobody has a constitutional right over Mother Nature. That's a motherfucking God-given gift. Fuck. Anyway, I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. I'm going to take a 12-minute break and fucking figure out what I'm doing here. It's early in the morning here. It's 8:30. And while I do it, I will play the, what will I play? I'm using that other coalition. Oh, I was going to play. Okay, here's the Extract Express video of us going to... Now, you know what's funny, too? I'll just note this before we go over. When we showed up that day at the Supreme Court, I just happened to... The cab that picked me up from my hotel just happened to be cab 420. You'll see when I get out of the cab at you can't stage this shit. I mean, honestly, cab 420 just happened to pick me up and drop us off at the Supreme Court that day. So yeah, that's an interesting past part of it, and I can't see it there. I'm getting rid of that. And here's the Extract Express video, and I'll see you guys back in about 10 minutes, and we'll go from there. If you got any questions or concerns, if you want to talk extracts, if you want to talk fucking glass, if you want to talk doing everything, kicking the government's ass, I'm down. We'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. All right, welcome back. I'm here now. I've got Kevin Sharp, Paul Hunt, Dan Pagliuti, Mo, Linda, Ryan, coalition crew, basically people who've been stomping it down in Allard, which is going to be the next big case. If they want to bring us here and do that again, I'm all for it. But guys, great job. What did you guys think? Just a quick shout out here. I guess we'll start at this end. What did you guys think about what you've seen in there? What you think about the first medical marijuana case in Canada at the Supreme Court of Canada?
It was awesome. The information was good. Like, we just put the crown down. I thought it was good. Good. Happy.
Nice.
Happy.
It's really nice to see something going down in history for the future of this country. Not only for ourselves, but the future of these people, which is so cool, man. This is great.
Daniel? Best court case I ever seen. Lady Justice laughing at the councilman. Just epic. Just epic.
Absolutely. All right. Right on, Ryan.
It sounds and it looks like extracts for all, for sure, man.
Awesome. Okay, Mo.
Can I say this? We got this.
We got this. Linda, in closing?
Definitely positive being here. Great experience. When you guys missed it, you missed out.
No, actually, in closing, the Crown got their ass handed to them. I can't believe the Chief Justice said, can you please bring something that's applicable to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? I keep telling everybody this is not criminal law. This is about liberty and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in the country of Canada. Not over in Europe, not here, or not over in America, here in Canada. And the courts are going to continue to rule in the favor of ethics, liberty, and medical patients. Stay tuned for more from Cannabis in Canada. Welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox. We are now with the Beard Brothers, and many of you have wanted to see slabs and talk about dabs. Behind me is the oven. We got a bunch cooking in here. I don't even know what else to say. I'm kind of in Candyland right now because, again, I'm not an extractor. So, Bradley, take us through some of what we got laying out here on the table.
This is some more raw footage. I mean, we haven't really ever gotten any shots inside our lab, so this is kind of a little taste you're gonna get. But you know, this is exciting. So this is just a typical day in the Beard Bros world. You know, we got some killer flavors here. You know, Pink Kush. This is a quad shatter for sure. Purple White Lightning, super nice. One of our staples, Cotton Candy, really fire. And then we also got some sweet cheese here.
No, just so people, I'm curious because my wife's a dabber and I dab. Now, different colors. People often say, "Oh, it's darker means it's no good." That's not necessarily true.
It's not, has nothing to do with the extraction process. I mean, there's a few things, but it comes down to how the flower is finished. Typically, it's all down. It comes down to the trichome, right? So if you over finish or you overheat your room, you're gonna extract a darker shatter. And so a lot of indicas will come out typically darker. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just a trait of the genetics. You know, sativas, when they're grown right, typically come out a little bit lighter. You know, that's just its trait, you know. So color, people need to let that color, so if it's black, poopy looking shit, okay. You know, but if it's got an amber look to it, it's killer.
I was just going to say, on that word amber, now the point of degradation when you're growing, when you use a scope, you look at your trichome, the point of degradation is when the plant starts to turn brown.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what Bradley's talking about, is just over-matured product being run through, and this is the outcome of that. I guess that's my understanding.
Totally, and a lot of people, you know why they push their flowers, so oh, I'm going to get more weight, you know, overdo it. It's not always about yield, it's about quality, right? And that comes down to growing, and that makes the extraction. So you get what you put in when it comes to the extraction process. If you put in, a lot of guys think, oh, I'm going to turn this shit into fucking gold. Well, there's processes we can with, like, you know, distillate and stuff like that we can turn. But when it comes to making extracts, you put shit in there, typically you're going to get shit out of there, right? You know, so we put high quality, high grade things in our process. You know, we want to have top notch. We don't want to have shit ass things out there. We want to make sure it's top of the line, you know. And we got a few lines out there now. We got our patience line that people are starting to become aware of, that is super affordable. We're trying to reflect that we're not trying to gouge. We're trying to make concentrates affordable, because for a long time, I mean, $80 a gram is a lot, you know. We're hoping, you know, things are dropped down to like 30 and 40 and 50, which is a lot better, right? And then we got our connoisseur, which is still pretty fair priced, right? You know, it reflects the cost, you know, processing, cost of the flower, all that kind of stuff goes into it.
I can
right?
assure you there's a lot of processing. There's a reason we're not showing you guys the processing, and that's not because we have anything to hide. We're waiting for the government to come up with some reasonable policy around FDA regulations.
Totally, we'd love to come in here in the next little while when things change and start showing our processes. No, we're not going to give all of our trade secrets away, but we got, we definitely.
Well, no, we're not talking trade secret. We're just saying when people are wondering, well, why aren't you showing this or that? I'm saying we're showing an oven and we're talking about the outcome. And this is a man that's won cups from coast to coast, and it's undeniably, the king of shatter. Thompson Caribou is out there with a few trophies, but they still don't got what the Beard Brothers got yet. Now again, based on trophies. Now, people can say what they want, but competitions mean a lot to me, and I believe that a lot of that Bradley's competed in anyway, legitimate competitions where you can, it's things where you just get these cups, and again, it speaks for itself. Not to mention the thousands of patients that I've spoken to over the past 5 years that have been helped dynamically by the Beard Brothers, and even harmed when you were hurt last year. Your business was harmed by some bad people, and that was unfortunate. But you've rebounded back, and here we are. We're talking slabs of dabs. Is there anything else you want to fill us in on now? Parts per million. What should parts per million be?
It varies, right? I mean, you can get everyone tested, but we'd like to say that we're, under 100 parts, typically, but it varies. I mean, each strain, like when you make the extract, they hold butane in differently, right? So it's like baking, right? You got to look at every slab, and you got to look for those signs, certain types of bubbles when it's finished. So I'd like to say our shatter typically we test back at around 100 parts per million and under, and I mean now they just passed in Colorado where they're saying 50 parts and under was accepted. Now they're saying 5,000. So things are jumping around. What is safe consumption? It's not about how the government looks at it or whatever, what's safe. We want to make sure we're getting the cleanest product out there. You do degrade terps, you do this, you do that, but I think cleanliness over everything is the most important thing, because
100%. On that note of cleanliness, once again, look around this lab. Now, people think labs should be some big fancy thing. A lab should be nothing more than clean, responsibly organized, and properly managed. Now, we're not filming the other part of the lab by design, but if you guys seen that, it's no different. It's properly organized, and this goes back to other videos we've shown and videos I've shown over the years of a proper grow room or a proper facility. No matter what you're doing, extracts, growing, making oil, whatever, it needs to be done in a clean environment. In this case, on such a large scale, I mean, geez, you got how many slabs you got going here? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah, that's a 7 cubic foot Cross International oven. So it
shout out to Cross. I love you guys.
International, yeah. We can put a lot in there, a lot of medicine, right? We different processes. We're processing other patients' material that they want for stuff, right? So there's lots of different requests we get, right? So we typically have lower end to higher end in our oven at most times, right? Not lower end, but just a different type of product. People that just want their own meds and this and that, right? So.
This is huge, because again, patients do not understand that. I never understood the color at first. When I went to Ontario, I seen there was a lot of dark colored shatter, and I thought, I don't know what to make of this. And now I've learned that now it makes the most sense now that it's been explained to me by Bradley.
Well, it
makes the most sense to try.
It's like close your eyes and I'll give you a darker slab versus a light slab. You can't look at the color and tell me what you think's better.
Right. No,
right?
That's just
right.
True.
You could put like. This for a Kush. This is a pink Kush. This grower finished their flower like on point. This is a beautiful slab. Yeah, it's definitely. You guys got to remember too that we're still fighting for our rights with doing extractions, right? So I mean, this is under license and stuff like that, right? It's under ACMPR now, MMAR, right? So. As things move forward, obviously we're going to be building more state-of-the-art facilities, right? We got to keep things on the hush-hush. We don't know how things are going to. Hopefully we're going to get things regulated, and we're going to be pushing back, and all concentrates, will be able to be used in any type of
It should be. R.V. Smith said that we can use cannabis in all of its forms. So here's cannabis in all of its forms, but then they come out and they say, but butane, but they blanket ban. And it's a regulation, it's not a law, so it's going to be interesting to see how law enforcement will even try to enforce any sort of thing. Now that's some crumble of some sort.
Yeah, this would be a wax, so this is, a shatter that we would consider we've turned it to this product because we have people that really love their waxes, super flavorful, super smooth. This is lemon jack, super great, good terp profile. A lot of people prefer wax over the shatter. Everyone has their preference, right? So we purposely, you know, are finishing this in a wax form because of a couple clients that want the wax, right?
There you go.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, this is kind of, hey guys, this is a little brief on Beard Bros Lab. So,
we got a lot more coming because this is our first time even being in here. It's been years. Bradley and I have known each other, and we've never been in that lab. We have never filmed it, and we're still not willing to film certain aspects of it. But when he tells me he wants to get something out there, most importantly, if you want to know if the Beard Brothers are back, I can tell you they're back. Yeah. And I've got their back, and I believe that Canada and the patients have their back because they had ours during our fight. And you can never forget where you came from, and I can't express that enough. I say this in a lot of videos, but this is a prime example because I remember last year watching this man fight and struggle to keep his company alive, and here he is back on his feet, ready to take on the world.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's not like we left. We were just assessing how we were going to work in this industry. You know, we came in with a lot of fire and a lot of passion, and things kind of went array. You know, there's people we thought were good ended up being fakes, and a lot of shit went on, you know. So we just, you know, I guess we could say, you know, I was kind of heartbroken a little bit to see that when you extend your hand to help people and you wear your heart on your sleeve, that you can get trampled on. So, you know, the most important thing is, you know, we got to work together in a community. You got to work with people you know you can trust, and, you know, yeah, just keep pushing, keep moving forward. I mean, that's all we can do. This is, you know, I consider not a war, but it's a fight. It's a fight for our rights. It's a fight for doing something we believe in. I'm in this because I believe in it. I'm not just, you know, trying to flip shatter slabs and make a huge amount of money. It's about because I believe in the medicine, believe in the product.
And there's also a dab culture. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't just BC. This is
worldwide.
This is worldwide. I mean, honestly, the first thing I got when I was in Australia was dabs. You know, we were looked after. So either way, the dab culture isn't going anywhere. They're not going to be able to kill it. So how do we find our way to work within it is what's going to come next. And during that transition, during that time, most importantly, where can patients find you, Brad? Right now, they want to be able to get a hold of some fire, get a hold of some of the slabs, whatever.
Well, we're in a few dispensaries. We're in Karuna, located in Vancouver. We do a lot of work with Herbal Dispatch. They're an online dispensary in Vancouver. Obviously, we have Beard Brothers Society. It's in Victoria. Beardbros.ca. We have our own online website. You know, that's kind of a different other. You know, we're in lots of parts of the country, right? So you just got to kind of look out for us, and we're going to start expanding more and more and try to have our medicine and our quality product in as much shops as we can, because I believe in that. People should be getting quality. Not to say there's not a lot of quality out there already, but we pride in quality, and I can't emphasize enough that it's quality, and that means clean environments to work in, you know, the right products going in, the right processes, safety, you know, getting out there, being a part of the culture. So you're going to see us at a lot of events in 2018. We're going to the Mom Cup. We're going to be rocking the Canada Cup. We're going to be doing 420 in Vancouver and Toronto. You know, whatever else is going to kind of happen, and kind of go with the flow this year, right? So
it's going to be a good year. 2018, it's a breakout year. We don't know what's going to happen, but my friends, stay tuned to Cannabis in Canada. Join the mission at cannabisincanada.net. Get involved with the Beard Brothers Collective. Whoever you feel comfortable with, just get involved with the culture, because it's our culture to take back, and it's our way to legalize.
Yeah.
And just because the government's laid down their plan doesn't mean that it's going to be so. On that note, this is Jason Wilcox signing out of another fantabulous show. Bradley, thank you for having...
Yeah, man. Look forward to part 2, guys. We'll be getting more footage in here. Thanks a lot for all the viewers, and we'll hope we see you out there.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox. We are now with the Beard Brothers, and many of you have wanted to see slabs and
there's two streams of thought there, right? There's C-45, which is the Cannabis Act, and C-46, which deals with impaired driving, and not just cannabis, but other forms of impaired driving. Here's my view. I don't think I've been under 2 nanograms a milliliter of THC metabolite in my blood since I was 15 years old, right? At no point. And you know, I say that because it's funny, but I say that because it's also true. And I think you could test somebody, you know, when they wake up first thing in the morning, that is a medical cannabis consumer, and I'm a medical cannabis consumer, that is always going to be over that threshold. And so what you do is you effectively criminalize an entire class of people based on their choice of medicine that you don't do with other medicines. You know, we're not going to people and saying, well, you've got, you know, 2 nanograms per milliliter of codeine metabolite in your system from the pill you took to help you sleep last night. But we could make up an imaginary number that has nothing to do with impairment and take people off the road as a result of that. And I think, you know, when you're talking about a very privacy intrusive thing, going into people's blood in a forcible way to seize their blood in order to test it, and the evidence that's yielded from that is not relevant to the issue to be decided, which is, was that person impaired? Because there's no science linking these arbitrary numbers to any level of impairment. Very much unlike alcohol, where there's a great deal of science that we can rely on. I think you've gone too far. And I think the courts are going to find that. I think the courts are going to find that the government's gone too far on C-46, and that those per se limits, at least, will be found to be unconstitutional. And there's, you know, this will warm your heart, there's momentum building to do a test case. There's been at least one prominent figure from the LP world, Chuck Raffici, who's publicly said he'll put the first $25,000 into a test case. I've talked to a couple of the impaired lawyers out there that do drug and alcohol impaired driving for a living. They're interested in taking this on. So, you know, we could be building a team to challenge that as well. You know, with C-45, the Cannabis Act, philosophically, I think that the government took the wrong approach by creating a criminal enforcement scheme with exemptions to create legal activity. You know, I think that that's kind of backwards. I think it should have been a legal scheme with some exemptions, limited exemptions for certain types of criminal activity. But I understand why they did it. I mean, from a jurisdictional standpoint, the government, federal government, has criminal law power jurisdiction. They don't necessarily have the jurisdiction to regulate cannabis if it's not within a public safety or health context. And so they maybe didn't have a choice in their approach. I do appreciate that the Cannabis Act does a few things with the penalty structure that are positive. Eliminates mandatory minimum sentencing. People forget today, despite some court decisions finding unconstitutionality, but you can still have a mandatory minimum sentence for 6 marijuana plants in this country. You know, the fact that you'll be able to grow 4 legally is a huge step forward per household. The fact that you'll be able to possess 30 grams of cannabis in public is a huge step forward. The fact that you'll be able to store an unlimited amount of cannabis in private is a massive step forward. All of those things make it harder for police officers to get warrants. All of those things make it harder for enforcement. And much of it signals just sort of a different direction that I think will permeate through policing culture, which we've already seen in British Columbia over the last few years. Massive declines in enforcement. I think that's a trend that we're going to stay on. They've also lowered the maximum sentence for certain of the more serious trafficking offenses in cannabis. Currently, trafficking more than 3 kilos of cannabis still has a maximum of life in prison. Under C-45, it's 14 years. Is that too much? Of course that's too much. That's ridiculous. Nobody gets the maximum. I mean, I tell people you could sail a tanker truck of hash into Vancouver Harbor and you're not going to get life in prison, even though that's the maximum penalty, right? That doesn't happen. But it does have ripple effects. The maximum penalty of 14 years disqualifies accused persons from certain outcomes. The flip side of that, though, is that the federal government has made it a Crown option to proceed by summary conviction in every Cannabis Act offense. And so the Crown, either on its own initiative at the beginning of a prosecution or through deal making as you defend these cases,
right, welcome back to Cannabis Canada, guys. That was Mr. Kurt Tusaw giving you the driving advice and so forth. I was noticing some of the chat, especially on YouTube, guys. I get it. Raymond's channel was shut down, a bunch of others. There's about a lot of dirty pool going on. My channel's been on the air now for, this is year 11. 11 years I've been doing this. I've been teaching people how to medically grow cannabis, you know, on my channel for that entire time. I never sell cannabis. And I don't sell nutrients. But I promote different companies. I promote what I think is good, that's going to benefit the end medical user that's growing legally. So that's the one thing that we've done on this show. And I think that it's bullshit that they've shut down some of the lower subscribers or people that haven't been around as long. And I get you on the age restriction thing. I'm again, to my friends on Facebook, if you don't know what we're talking about, we're actually talking about what's going on YouTube. John H. Bear Fellow, good morning, brother, on Facebook. Long time, no chat. You and I have to get together and have a sesh soon. But anyway, back to the YouTube discretion thing. They shut down Ramo's channel. I'm not sure why. I'm guessing it's associated to his business.
I don't know, but it's bullshit.
It's bullshit regardless.
Bullshit.
What this is doing is, once again, pulling our culture, pulling everything apart. And if they shut these channels down, my channel could be next.
Yeah, man.
You know, I've got 5 million views and I've got 23,000 legitimate subscribers. I don't buy my views. You know, they're legitimate subscribers, legitimate views that people have seen over the past decade. A decade of my life is on this channel. And they've just hit me with the age restricted thing. I already have an age restriction on my channel. If you want to watch my videos, you're supposed to check that you're 18. But somehow YouTube decided that they're going to flag every single video. And my guess is, after X number of videos are flagged, maybe they shut your channel down. Now, I'm at 700 videos, so most of mine, I think almost all 700 are flagged, you know, as being age restricted. So, are they going to shut me down next? I don't know. You know, one thing I will say, guys, is if you are selling or promoting sales on your channel, then that's something that might get you in trouble, because it's profiting off of your personal YouTube channel. I'm not sure of the community rules and standards around that. To be quite frank, even I believe hitting off of a bong can be construed as breaching community standards, I believe, in certain cases. So people need to be careful and need to recognize YouTube's not fucking around, Facebook's not fucking around, and I think that if you're, we'll have to see, because Facebook hasn't fucked with me either. Facebook has had me sponsored, then they take the sponsorship away, then they bring me back, they put me sponsored again, but they've never said to me, Jason, you can't do this show. And it's always educational, it's always about growing, but it's never telling you how much something is or where you can go buy it. It's just telling you this is what the product is, and if you want to order it, you can order it. Now that's one way of promoting. Now the only thing I can think of for Ramo, and I don't know, the only thing I can think of for Ramo was either the content, enough haters reported them, you know, this is the kind of shit that happens, or it's because he started his own. You guys forget, Ramo's a personal friend of mine for a very, very long time. We go way, way back to like the early days. And seriously, from the beginning of the YouTube days, we used to fucking smoke on weekends together. But to see him start his own nutrient company and move forward that way, if your company doesn't get a company account with YouTube, who knows? Maybe that's why they shut it down. I don't know. I just hope my channel's not next. They haven't knocked Mark offline, so Bubbleman's still up there. So, you know, if they start knocking everybody offline, well, then I think the whole cannabis culture needs to start to, you know, fight back against YouTube, you know, if that becomes the issue. But at this point, we don't know why Ramo's channel was shut down. There's a few different ones that were shut down, and all I know is that it's wrong. Here in Canada, here right now in BC, later this year, this is how fucking ironic and weird it is for me to be telling you this, we're going to be allowed to grow 4 plants each. In every province, almost, except for Saskatchewan that I know of, is going to be allowed to grow 4 plants. So we're going to have growing in Canada, and it's going to be all over YouTube. It's going to be all over Facebook, and there ain't going to be a goddamn thing you can do about it, except shut people's accounts down. That makes no sense either. Maybe change the community standards to what's going on in 2018, not 2040. Sorry, 1940. That sounded kind of stupid. Hey, I'm Stoner. Morning, Chad Smith. How you doing? Smythe. I always say it wrong. I say Smith, but I mean to say Smythe. Chad's another intellect that is in there. He can be a little agitating at times because he's very fast with the keyboard. He's very swift with Google, but don't underestimate his knowledge base because it is quite good. And to that, I am thankful. And John, I love you, brother. I hope to see you soon. It's good to see you in the chat. Hearing this about Ramo, I have to now give Ramo and Sandra a call later and find out, exactly what happened, because you can't stop this movement. You can't stop this culture. You can't silence the internet. They've been trying to stop ISIS. Why don't you focus on ISIS before you worry about cannabis users, if there is any focus on us at all? Again, there's standards that they have, and then unfortunately for people like Ramo and John Barafalo can relate to this, myself and others that have been doing this for a long time, and we've developed our own group of people that for whatever reason don't like us and would rather spend their whole day reporting us to YouTube or reporting us to Facebook or doing whatever they can, replicating our accounts or doing whatever they can to try to get people in trouble. We like to call them trolls or haters or whatever you want to call them. They are what they are. You can't really stop that. And I hope that Ramo wasn't subject to that. Another friend of mine out of California, John Mendoza, his account was just shut down on Instagram. Now, what's ironic is that these two friends of mine were recently together. So I'm wondering if there's not something bigger going on. Again, that's a conspiracy theorist in me. I see my friends get together and then I see both Instagram. My one friend has 100,000 people on Instagram. He's one of the original Instagrammers, John Mendoza, and they shut his motherfucking account down.
Bullshit.
Then they go and they take my other homie, Ramo, who I've known fucking 10 years, and they shut his motherfucking account down. And it's like, what the hell? So yeah, there's some serious problems going on, guys. But we're not sure who's doing it and why. But if they think they can stop the voice of the people, you just open another account. Persistence pays, and people will continue to do what they do, and they'll continue to educate. You can't stop the will of the people, and I don't know why people continue to try. Now, I'm not saying go out and break the law. No, for those of you that have ruined it for some of us, because there are people that go out there and you just blatantly challenge YouTube, you blatantly challenge Facebook, because you don't care that you get your account shut down, because you know you can open a new one the next day. I'll be glad when Facebook and YouTube start blocking IP addresses instead of fucking blocking just your account. Because then you can stop creating so much havoc on here for us, because that's the people that actually want to be on here doing this shit end up getting in trouble for all the bullshit accounts that get out there. People start streaming the UFC fights on YouTube, and they wonder why we get the live stream feature fucking looked over. Like, I'm a YouTube partner. I'm glad to be a YouTube partner, but I could have that stripped from me very easily. Getting sponsored by Facebook. When you're sponsored by Facebook, that means you're in good standings with Facebook. It means you've done nothing wrong, you're not stepping outside your boundaries. So to my haters, go ahead and attack. You've been attacking for years. Health Rangers channel down. He is worth millions. I'm not surprised, Chad. We don't know what's going on. And my question is it YouTube taking these channels down, or is it hackers? How do we know who's taking what down? You gotta remember, licensed producers with 20 million... Licensed producers with $20 million companies. Again, $20 million companies. $20 million ROIs, actually. Just think about that. Their return on their investment, they can wait 20 years and not make any money, and they're okay with that. So when you have that kind of money, could you not hire hackers to go in and shut down the channels of the most powerful activists in America, in Canada, so that you can have better control over the narrative? Excuse all the coughing and stuff, but the narrative. The narrative in Canada. The narrative in America. To change the narrative would be to shut down the voice. So if you can shut down the voice of Ramo, if you can shut down the voice of someone like John Mendoza, strong, hardcore, old school activist, OG, right out of fucking SoCal, then you got fucking guys like myself, guys like fucking Bubble Man. You got people that are doing this, real educational people. They're out to be cultural, educational, and have fun. But when you go start shutting channels down, it's for whatever reason. Now, Instagram is different, but it doesn't matter. We're seeing it on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're seeing different people, high-profile cannabis activists and enthusiasts, being shut down for reasons we don't fully understand. But at the same time, to change the narrative, and I've said this before, to change the narrative would be to shut people like me, shut people like Ramos, shut anybody down that is keeping the culture together so that they can change the market. That's by changing the narrative, which means we stop talking to each other. We stop having these community events. Like I just said, we can't have them just because this asshole ripped people off in Toronto. We can't have our cultural events stop. We need to keep having more barbecues, more outdoor events, more fucking smokeouts, and make sure that Canada knows we're not going anywhere. And Reefer Madness 2.0, hell, if jail for 94 years in Canada didn't stop us, why would new regulations suddenly stop us now? Become the new face, and in order to do that, you need to get... Well, this is it. You need to get... Well, to become a new face, I've been doing this 10, 11 years on YouTube now. I've seen a lot of people rise and fall. A lot of guys that come on the scene, they're on the scene 2 minutes, and then they're gone because they can't hold it. They can't hold their shit together. They can't hold their content. They can't hold their standing as a fucking national activist. They can't hold their standing, period, because their credibility lacks, or their credentials lack, or their integrity lacks. So they fall off. But to change the narrative, you got to change the culture. To change the culture, you got to get rid of the leadership. If you can't lock them up, you shut them up. And any way you can. Censorship. Censor the media. Censor our events. Don't give us permits. Don't let us come together where we can actually educate each other about what the fuck the monopoly's doing to us. That's a dictatorship. That's not a democracy. Therefore, show up at your 420 and do your due diligence and protest the federal laws that continue to criminalize and marginalize this goddamn culture. I can't say it any more than that. It's really frustrating. I can say very, very frustrating to see that. And this is funny because I've lived through these times where they've shut down channels before, and I've been like, fucking, why are they closing these channels down and not others? But then I look at what some people are doing. Sometimes if you breach certain community protocols, they'll go and they'll try and shut your channel down, or they'll give you a warning, or they'll give you a strike. On YouTube, you get a strike. I've been given one strike, I think, in my 11 years. And they'll give you a strike against you and let you know, like, hey, you've used copyright, for instance, was my strike. They'll say, you've done this wrong. But to go and wipe out a channel that's worth millions, like in Ramos' case, because Ramos' been doing this as long as I have. Him and I are two of the original YouTubers from Canada that were teaching people how to grow cannabis without wearing a ski mask and pretending we're fucking gangsters. Just teaching people, no, this is how you grow weed, and this is if you're medical. I taught people how to grow, Rainbow Profile Gardens. That's how things went. So I don't know where that becomes bad or illegal, because we're only showing what's legally ours. We're showing on a channel that's legally allowed us to profile our stuff, and we're not doing anything illegal. Now, I understand YouTube's rule says if it's illegal, if you're illegally growing drugs, illegally doing something. It's often why in my old shows you guys see me hold up my federal license, because I wanted everybody on YouTube, everybody around the world to know it's because we have these federal licenses we can teach these shows and we can do what we do. But YouTube seems to not really not look at all that. I don't know all the other details. Man, I wish I was getting 1 million views. That's huge. Yeah, there are people who have figured out. Believe me, I wish I could figure out the coding in that. On my show, it's been I killed my own show really by doing the coalition. To be honest, when you have a grow show that has 20,000 people watching it in a weekend, and then you stop doing grow shows so that you can go fight the government so everybody can keep growing. That's what I did for 5 years. So for 5 years, people watch politics and bullshit on my channel, which is very boring, sort of like today. So you don't get the same response as if I took you in my fucking grow chamber and showed you a deep water culture system and started talking about all the wonders of deep water culture and how that works. That would be a whole new, you guys would see 20,000 people will start watching this fucking show again in no time. That's what we're heading back to, you know? But right now there's fighting. Sometimes you need to fucking recognize when to fight and when not to. I wish I could just go sit back peacefully, fucking smoke weed in my garden and let everybody else do the fighting for me. But that just isn't the way it works. So, but the biggest part about where we're at right now, I think, is just the growing. I know the political stuff's the most important thing. I would agree, Fire Horse, other than it killed my channel. Like, I can tell you, people do not care. The majority of Canada does not care. My analytics were like this, and they went like this. That's what happens when you stop teaching people how to grow cannabis, when you don't have a structured show that's focused just on a topic-driven show on cannabis, which I will be doing again in the future. See, I'm not worried about recapturing my 23,000 subscribers or gaining new ones. I've been doing this for 11 years. Providence is on my side, and so is a lot of constitutional victories and a privacy victory. So there's a few things that I've got working on my favor that I'm okay with. My problem right now isn't so much worrying about getting the numbers as it is getting the message that's right. Teaching you how to do deep water culture right now, is that going to help the situation that we're talking about here? Going to jail, getting our brothers and sisters out of jail, stopping being discriminated against, not having to pay $14 a gram plus tax, not being called a non-medical user? This is all politics and bullshit. Boring as fuck. But it's the law. And if you're an alien, well, then you fit in that non-medical cannabis user category. Everybody else in Canada, you all have CB1 and CB2 receptor cells in your brain, and that's where cannabis goes through, and that's how it's medicinal. The government's arguing biology and science, and once we put them in the fucking courts, when we get the opportunity, I can't wait till they charge a non-medical user for using non-medical cannabis. And that lawyer tears a strip out of them in the fucking courtroom with fucking experts. That's why I love the courts. I've always said this. Stats and facts matter. We don't go off fucking conjecture and bullshit. And that's what matters. You know, the courts, 16 or 17 now, 16 or 17 constitutional challenges, we've won. So the judicial arm is on our side. The political arm keeps writing more bad policy. They say it's unconstitutional, they just write another unconstitutional policy. They say, okay, take this. We say that's unconstitutional. The courts agree. Then they rewrite the program again. Don't you guys remember it was the MMAR, or sorry, it was the MMAR, the MMPR, then the ACMPR, you know, and then it's going to change again in 5 years. And again, every time, all those acronyms I just gave you, MMAR, okay, ACMPR, MMPR, all of them have an M in them for medical. Even though, what I mean by that is the marijuana for medical purposes regulations, okay, the marijuana for medical purposes regulations that they tried to bring in, then when the ultimate conclusion was the access to cannabis for medical purposes regulations. All this time there's no medical value. Officially, according to the policymakers and the power brokers up top, there's no medical value to cannabis. Read it, it's on Health Canada's site. It needs to be further explored. So then why do we have a medical program, and why do we allow 88 companies to set up in our country to sell cannabis if there's no medical value? And if it's illegal? Because it was all predestined recreational market setup. All these big business brokers and rich people decided we're going to legalize, but if we're going to do it, we're going to control it. We're going to maximize our fucking profit. And here's how we'll do it. We'll set it up under the guise of this medical program. We'll put up 88 big corporations. Then we're going to legalize. But really, these corporations are to feed the legal people. And let's not forget, we got to do this around the world. Because you can't just do it in one country. It'll start a whole shitstorm for the fucking World Health Organization. So let's just make this a whole fucking national. I told you guys this 5 years ago, only I sounded like Alex Jones. Now that it's fucking for the real and you're looking at it in the real, tell me now I'm fucking crazy. Well, I am crazy. But tell me now I'm fucking wrong. That's the kind of fucking shit that eats at a man. Because I don't want to sit by and watch a train wreck happen again. I don't want to sit here and watch two fucking trains collide and say, why the fuck didn't somebody switch the fucking switch? Just doesn't make sense. I believe that the power structure this is just the way it's going to be, and there's people power, guys, and there's no power. There's people power, and then there's money power. Their power that they have right now is actually nothing more than money power. Lobbyists, like the cigarette companies. For decades, the cigarette companies, what did they do? They lobbied the federal government to lie to us. And all of us killed ourselves with cancer and fucking toxins. To present day. They're still not banned on the shelves. Because of lobbyists. Now, do you not think the same LP lobbyists and the same big power brokers, the big private stock holding companies, private mining companies, you don't think all these fucking big bastards are fucking the ones in control right now? If you don't, give yourself a kick in the ass and go take a fucking shit and then fucking go read the fucking internet. Go read what's going on in Canada, because my God, that's what is happening here. And when you are, yeah, they are selling to 6 other countries. I'm reading the comments on Facebook here as well. And Justin, with them selling to these other countries, we're supplying Australia, we're supplying, now Germany's going to legalize. I've been saying this for 6 months again, and y'all watching the show. We need to pay attention to what's going on. It's not about being right or wrong, it's about getting the facts right. I guess it's about being right or wrong, but it's about getting your facts right when you're going to put them out there. And right now, we know Canada's doing this. We know we've demonstrated. We've shown even in the news clips. And that's what I do on this show. I like to pull in the news clips because then I'm able to say, look, here it is on the news where they actually say X, Y, and Z. Because then it's not just me saying it. Because people on the internet were considered fake news. You know, I fucking hate that shit because of America and Donald Trump bullshit, but whatever. We're considered unreliable. But I've been accurate 90%. Since 2012 to present day, I've been accurate 90% on these motherfuckers. Their movements, their actions, their intent. To the degree that we overturned the MMPR, the Marijuana for Medical Purposes regulations, had the whole program thrown out, rewritten. So that the legalization task force would talk about 4 plants for every Canadian home. That never would have happened if Allard never happened. So now what do we do? I guess moving forward is just hope that the legalization, now that the politicians and everybody else are starting to listen, more people, the talking table I like to call it, people are sitting down at dinner and they're talking about what you guys are hearing now and what we talk about. They're starting to do this at the dinner table. Only the rich people are starting to do it. The power brokers, the money makers, the investors, the people that, all they care about is making money. They don't care if it's flipping cannabis or flipping gold or flipping silver. As long as they flip something, they make money. That's all they care about. That's all that matters to them. So those are the people you got to watch out for. I'm getting fucking all fucking spaced out here. Chad's out. And the USA is hitting at the bong on can keep you out of the USA if not a citizen. I don't know about that, Chad. I don't think that the federal government has time to monitor fucking millions of people on YouTube and Facebook and fucking and then stop them at the border and saying, hey dude, we seen you hit your bong on YouTube, so you're guilty. Now someone like myself, with my profile, if I went across there and I said, no, I don't use cannabis, and then they went and they punched my name into fucking Google and they pulled it up and they seen my show, well then I'd be lying to a border agent. So to that degree, I would say yes. But am I worried about going into America and that border agent fucking sitting there with a picture of me that says, here's a picture of Jason Wilcox smoking a bong? No, I'm not. Am I worried about my medical records being at the border? I was till I went to America last year. And I didn't get checked. That's when I realized that clearly our medical records aren't there, or they would have asked me, and I would have been returned back at the border. Stuff that we all need to know. Now 1:49, we got about 10 minutes left here, and we'll close this off at the 2-minute mark, or at the 2-hour mark. Fuck, 2-minute mark. And we fly out of here for Toronto tomorrow. So this is the last show, and now with this little, I picked up a new part. Another fucking costs a lot of money to do this. These live shows and that to try and keep this going. This is more for Ontario, more when we're on the road in general. Like before, we would use our cell phones or whatever and just fuck around, but because we could never bring our full studio. Now I just have to worry about a second monitor like this, and then my main laptop, and then I just have to worry about a few other things. But much smaller now, much easier to be able to bring live shows to you guys on a regular basis, and also from different places. Quite literally, as long as there's Wi-Fi and as long as it's a strong enough stream, I'll be able to feed those up to you guys. You know, when the show's been going a long time, when Facebook starts glitching, it's like, If you guys don't know, Facebook does have Facebook does cut you off at 4 hours. Yes, YouTube I could stream for 12 hours straight. Now, Fight Night. On that note, Fight Night, 420 fights. You guys will be seeing them stream live through YouTube here, and also through Facebook. But Facebook will cut off at 4 hours of whatever our streaming time is. So I'm not sure how long the event's going on or what's going on. But if that happens, we have a plan to just segue off of that and just re-kickstart the show again, the second half of it, or just to transfer completely over to YouTube. We'll have to see how it's going and how many people are on watching. But for those interested in it, it is boxing. It's not MMA, but it's a sold-out welterweight championship of the world or of Canada, being fought here and at the Danforth Music Hall, I believe it's called, downtown Toronto. So yeah, tickets are sold out. Fighters are geared up. Now the 419 party is not sold out, and I believe that if you can get there and you can get yourself inside the club, then you'll be able to be in. There's going to be a few different high-profile people on scene. There's going to be a lot of dabbing, a lot of weedy stuff going on out front on the Extract Express. Then there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on really throughout the evening, you know, from the fighters, you know, that are going to be there the night before to the, again, to the different entourages that will be there. It will be an interesting night for everybody involved, I'm sure. So if you have an opportunity, or if you haven't had an opportunity to hear about any of this, yeah, please check out the 420 information. Check out 419's website. Shit, I wish I had that right here, because one sec here, let me pull something up. For some reason, I can't seem to find one file. And I'm going to pull it up now if I can locate it in here. Okay. Okay, well, I'll show you it this way. Well, sort of. I'll show you it. Okay. So there's a few ways I'm going to be able to do this. I'll do it this way and put it over to here. So this is what we're talking about here. It's the 420 countdown, ultimate 420 party. So once again, post 420, guys. Now this is the 419 party, and then the fights are post 420. So 419, we're gonna have live music, dab bars, food trucks, live. Oh, this is a Barista Girls. Oh, striptease. Woohoo! Strippers. All right, anyway, Glow Furniture. I think that's cool. Glow Furniture sounds wicked. And then we got lots of giveaways. And new sponsors added daily. 10-gram dab at midnight. Hosted by the Sublimator Warrior. Arrgh. I gotta film that. 10-gram dab. I don't know how the hell they're gonna do that without fucking torches and shit, but that'll be hella interesting. And then fighters face off and much more. So this is just to give you an idea of some of the things there. I still don't have a website on there though. There, okay. Now I'm gonna close this one. Now, of course, we're here on, we're here as sponsors, so you'll see our crew rolling in You're also going to see the Beard Brothers crew rolling in, which will be right here. So Beard Brothers will be rolling into this as well. So you guys got to watch for this. So this is the official sponsors of the Beard Brothers. So if you want to go down and have a real throwdown and be down and you've heard about that terp sauce, want to get busy with the terp sauce, get down to the 419 countdown. And then of course we got the promotions itself. Oh wait, this one has links. One second, let me pull this off. See if I can find this. Exactly what I'm looking for is the fighters. Aha! I think I found it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to send this over. So again, guys, the fighting going on that night is going to be... And I wish I was better at this, but the 420 Light 'em Up 2, Friday, April 20th, 2019, doors 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. the doors open and we go into midnight. Now this is after 420. So it's Huron versus Tabitsi, and I believe that's for the welterweight championship. I believe. I might be saying this wrong because I don't follow boxing as much as I should, but I believe that's it. You'll see at the bottom the different sponsors, and Everlast is on there as a sponsor as well. So again, shout out to all of our sponsors and everybody there. Again, chance to meet the fighters at 419 the night before. And this just gives you an idea of some of the information. And all this is available, of course, on the cannabisincanada.net website, and is available around for people to get into. Justin Loaizo is also going to be there. I guess he's challenged Prime Minister Trudeau to debate him in the ring or something, but whatever. It's we know the Prime Minister is not going to show up for that one, but it would be funny if he did, because I would love to see him debate Justin. That would be interesting. Full event details. I'm just looking at, because this is when there was tickets still left. So yeah, the tickets are done. I know that much. So that's what's going on for the Danforth Music Hall. So yes, I got it right. Danforth Music Hall. Okay, so that's the Danforth Music Hall. That's what we got going on for there, and it gives you guys a good idea of what's going on for the countdown. I thought that I had a link to the website, and I can't. I'm gonna see if I can find it with a link. Hang on, I might have even found it with a link. All right, I'll throw this one over. Even though I said there's no tickets available, this is live on the web. So it says here 419 the countdown. So, oh sorry, the fights are sold out, I said. 419 the countdown. So if you're interested in attending the pre-fights where the fighters square off, there will be a bunch of different people. I hear a few different former hip-hop stars. You might remember them from Snow and Maestro Fresh West and those guys. I'm not sure if they'll be there at 419 or at the fights, but either way, I believe that they'll be making a scene or making an appearance. And the countdown, the ultimate pre-party, a full night of class entertainment featuring award-winning live music and DJ. So again, the dancers, food trucks, dab bars, meet and greet with the 420 Light 'em Up, 2 champion boxers and celebrities, awesome giveaways, special 10-gram dab midnight hosted by Sublimator Warrior. So there it is, guys. That's the real. This is what's going on. So you may not be able to get in to see the fights because they're sold out, but you can certainly get in here. $30 will get you in. VIP if you want to get in back, and some swag bags with some of the swag, and you know how that goes. And I can tell you now, this ain't no play around. This is the real thing. I was really impressed with how professional this was put together and done. My promotional side of it probably could have been done a little bit better, but here nor there. I'm almost at my 2-hour mark, and I'm finally going to be able to stop talking and close this out. But if you guys have any questions just before we close out, please throw them out there, because I will be off the air visiting with family, and trying to go live probably. I don't want to be off the air too long. Well, Chad, if you got banned from the United States, that's because you probably said that you use cannabis, or you said you didn't use cannabis and they found out you did. So if you lie to a border agent, then yes, you will get that waiver. Or you can apply for the waiver and be able to travel back and forth like Ramo can. Ramo can travel back and forth across the border even though he uses cannabis, and that's another cash grab. Provided you're willing to pay for the waiver, you can cross. You got to think about how many of their stars, like Snoop Dogg and everybody else, that smokes weed on stage and then comes into our country. They don't get stopped at the border, but yet they got pictures of me doing my dab right now. They're gonna have this waiting for me so that they can bust me. Come on now. They'll give you a waiver once they catch you. And should you lie to a border agent? I'm telling you now, don't lie to a border agent. That's a worse thing. It'd be better just to get turned back and you just say, yeah, I smoke cannabis. Most they'll do is they'll turn you around. They'll tell you can't come back into America until you get a waiver that allows you to. And that's the cash grab part of it. So, to each their own on that one. But, yeah, we are all got to go. I got to go. Yeah, it's 2-hour mark. So anyway. We'll see you guys in Toronto for the 419 party, the Extract Express. Most importantly, the fights. They'll be streaming live on my YouTube channel, my Facebook channel, a few different ones. You can find them. I think Just Compassion is going to be streaming it. I think a few different people will be streaming it. And of course, it'll also be on cable television because it is the welterweight champion, I believe, fighting. I believe it's a championship fight. If I'm wrong, then I apologize in advance. But I'm almost positive it's one of them is a championship fight. So, all said, it's been an amazing morning wake and bake, and I can't believe it's already 9:30. I ended up killing the 2 hours I wanted to kill. So on that note, this is Jason Wilcox with Cannabis in Canada, and as always, laying down the controversy has to meet the concrete at some point. And here on Cannabis in Canada, the controversy always meets the concrete. And that's where we can come to the facts. On that note, this is Jason Wilcox, and we will see you whenever we see you on the next show. Peace.